Welcome students. I welcome you to my YouTube channel, and today we will discuss a chapter that's in part 2, class 12, that's human health and diseases. Under this chapter, we will be discussing one important disease which we call as malaria. This malaria is endemic in our country, in India, and this malaria is basically a non-contagious communicable disease. So far as non-contagious is concerned, non-contagious means it cannot be transmitted from one person to another person by direct contact, like sneezing, coughing. Second, non-contagious means it is not going to get transmitted from one person to another person by direct contact. Second thing is that it is communicable. That means there is some infectious agent involved. And here the infectious agent which is involved for causing the malaria is a protozoa. Therefore, this is a protozoal disease. Malaria is the life cycle of malaria. It is digenetic. Digenetic means it involves the participation of two hosts. The first host is the female anaphylis. That's mosquito. Female anaphylis mosquito. And the second host is the human being, that's man. If we see this female, the life cycle of Millennium Parasite is going to get completed in two hosts. It requires, for completing its life cycle, it requires two hosts. One is female anaphylis mosquito and second is the man. If we see, this female anaphylis mosquito serves as a definitive host. It is a definitive host, also known as primary host. Whereas if we see the man serves as intermediate host. Man is basically serving as intermediate host. Now, what do we mean by primary host? Primary host is any host in which the parasite reaches to the maturity and it completes all the sexual events, or it completes the sexual events in the primary host. So mosquito is a definitive host for the protozoa. That means the sexual phase of life cycle. The sexual phase of life cycle will be taking place in the female anaphylis. And in the man, it serves as intermediate host. That means some of the steps of asexual reproduction may be completed in man. Then we will see its life cycle, how its life cycle is going on. If we see the infectious agent, the infectious stage of the parasite is basically a sporozoite. The infectious stage of the parasite is sporozoite. That means this is the sporozoite which is transmitted to man. It is basically the sporozoite which is going to get transmitted to man. We know that this disease is transmitted by female anaphylis. There was one scientist known as Leverin. Leverin was the first scientist who could establish that malaria is caused by protozoa. And it was Sir Ronald Ross who established that malaria is transmitted by the bite of female anaphylis. Both the two received the Nobel Prizes. Then, if we see the mosquito will be visiting to a man, and he will be carrying in his proboscis, in his mouth, he will be carrying the infective stage, that is the sporozoite. At the time of blood meal, to a person who do not have any malaria, the Malarian parasite is injected by the female anaphylis at the time of receiving the blood meal. Once this parasite is taken, once this parasite is inserted, it will be inserted in the form of a stage which we term as sporozoite. This sporozoite gets access to the connective tissue, it is placed in the connective tissue, and from connective tissue, it will directly go to liver. In the liver, what is going to happen? Since we know this is man, sporozoite is being given to the man, and man serves as an intermediate host, that means the asexual phase of life cycle is completed in man. What is going to happen in liver? In the liver, there will be a type of asexual reproduction which we call as schizogony, which we call as schizogony. Schizogony means multiple fission. That means this sporozoite is going to divide by multiple fission, forming large number of cells in the liver, and these cells are named as merozoites. So in the liver, merozoites will be formed, and these merozoites are formed by asexual reproduction, and the type of asexual reproduction, we call it as schizogony. It is very important, or we call it as multiple fission. So large number of merozoites will be formed. These merozoites will be accumulating in the liver cells. They will be covering the liver cells. They will be embedded in the liver cells. Once they reach to some extreme limit, the liver cell will burst. It will be releasing these merozoites, and these merozoites will be infecting the other virgin liver cells. The cycle goes on. So after this, some of the merozoites will gain access to the blood. Some of the merozoites will gain access to the blood. They will enter to the blood, and in the blood, they will be basically entering our RBCs. They will be gaining access in the RBCs. Again, in the RBCs, there is one more cycle of asexual reproduction, which we call as the same thing, that is schizogony. Schizogony will be taking place. Multiple fission will be taking place. We have noticed the multiple fission in the liver, that's here. And we have also witnessed multiple fission, that's a level, that multiple fission, that's schizogony in the RBCs. What will happen? Again, large number of merozoites will be produced inside RBCs. Large number of merozoites will be produced in the RBCs. Once the RBCs will be completely embedded by the merozoites, the RBC membrane will rupture, releasing large number of merozoites in the blood. So there will be rupture of RBCs, and rupturing of these RBCs will result in the release of large number of merozoites, and they will be infecting the fresh RBCs. Here, there are some merozoites. There are some merozoites which stop sexual reproduction. They are not going to take part in further. They are not going to take part in sexual reproduction. They stop asexual reproduction. They are not going to. They are not going to continue with asexual reproduction. They stop dividing. They stop the mode of asexual reproduction. And such merozoites are known as male and female gametocytes. So we have some of the merozoites present in the RBCs. These merozoites will no longer get involved in asexual reproduction. What they are going to do, they will be functioning as male and female gametocytes. Male and female gametocytes. Now these male and female gametocytes will be present in the RBCs. What is going to happen? In the meanwhile, if a mosquito will come for a blood meal, and at the time of receiving the blood meal, what it takes RBCs of the infected person, because this is the infected person, and mosquito is visiting to the infected person. What he will take? He will take a blood meal, and along with this blood meal, he is going to take what? That mosquito is going to take the male and female gametocytes. And these once the blood meal is taken by the mosquito, it is in the gut. It is in the gut where the RBCs will get broken down. RBCs will get broken down, and what they will release? They will release merozoites, correct? And they will also release male and female gametocytes. The male and female gametocyte is going to fuse, and what they will form? they will produce zygote. It is in the mosquito. It is in the mosquito that sexual reproduction is taking place. You have male and female gametocytes. These male and female gametocytes are released by the RBCs, and they are released by the RBCs because there is lysis of RBCs. They unite, they will form zygote. In the gut of mosquitoes, zygote will be developed. One more important point which we must understand here, this zygote is non-motile. This zygote is non-motile. The zygote is non-motile. And in order to make it motile, the zygote is converted into a motile structure known as ookinete. Ookinete. The difference between zygote and ookinete is that this ookinete is motile, while a zygote is not motile. So ookinete is motile. By virtue of its motility, it is going to pierce the gut wall of mosquito. This ookinete is going to pierce the gut wall of mosquito. Once it will pierce there, what it will do? It will reproduce, it will multiply and form sporo and will form oocyte. And it will form oocyte. What is this oocyte? By virtue of repeated divisions in the gut wall, this oocyte will be a structure which has a membrane and which contains large number of sporozoites. It contains large number of sporozoites. Sporozoites. What is basically this oocyte? Oocyte is basically composed of large number of sporozoites enclosed by a membrane. Enclosed by a membrane. What happens? The wall of the sporozoite breaks. Once the wall gets broken, what will happen? These sporozoites will come out, and these sporozoites will reach to the salivary gland of mosquito. They will make access to the salivary glands of mosquito, and once this mosquito will move for a blood meal, it will inject the sporozoite into another person. This way the transmission is going to take place. This way the transmission of mosquito, this way the transmission of Malarian parasite is going to take place. This is what we mean by the life cycle of mosquito. At the same time, who is the causative organism for malaria? I told you it is definitely a protozoa, and that protozoa we call it a plasmodium. But there are a number of species of plasmodium which are involved in causing the malaria, which serve as a causative organism for malaria. The first we have Plasmodium vivax. We have Plasmodium vivax. We have Plasmodium falciparum. Plasmodium falciparum. Plasmodium falciparum. We have Plasmodium ovale, and we have Plasmodium malariae. We have Plasmodium malariae. There are a large number of Malarian parasites which are involved. In the next lecture, we will be discussing what is the effect, what are the signs and symptoms of these Malarian parasites, and what is the life cycle, and what is going to be the treatment and control measures for controlling this malaria. That's all. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much.